The old apartment building on Maple Street had seen better days. Its wallpaper peeled like autumn leaves, and the floorboards creaked with stories untold. On the third floor, in apartment 3B, lived a little dragon girl named Frozen with her grandmother. Frozen was no ordinary child. She had shimmering silver scales that caught the moonlight, small wings that fluttered when she was nervous, and eyes the color of frozen lakes. Next door, in apartment 3C, lived Finch. He was a quiet man, a veteran who kept to himself. His apartment was always dark, the curtains perpetually drawn. The neighbors whispered about him, about the scars on his hands, about the nightmares that sometimes echoed through the thin walls, about how he never smiled. But Frozen's grandmother had taught her never to judge a book by its cover. Even if that cover looked worn and weathered, that it was a Tuesday evening when disaster struck. Frozen's grandmother had gone to the night market to buy medicine for her aching joints. Leaving Frozen alone with her homework and a cup of warm milk, the little dragon girl was practicing her fire-breathing exercises, just small puffs. Nothing dangerous when she heard a terrible crack. The apartment door, already old and fragile, had finally given up. The lock mechanism broke, the hinges loosened, and the door hung at an awkward angle, refusing to close properly. Frozen's heart raced. Her grandmother would be home soon, and the thought of leaving their home vulnerable filled her with dread. In their neighborhood, an unlocked door was an invitation to trouble. She tried pushing the door. She tried lifting it. She even tried using a tiny burst of flame to weld the metal back together. But her fire was too weak, Tears began to well up in her crystalline eyes. She was just a little dragon girl, not even 10 years old. What could she do? Then she remembered the man next door, Finch, the scary veteran everyone avoided. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. With trembling claws, Frozen knocked on apartment 3C's door. No answer. She knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. Please, she whispered to the silent door. Please, if you can hear me, we need help. Our door is broken. She waited, then slowly walked back to her apartment, dragging her tail behind her. She would just have to stay awake all night, guarding the door until grandmother came home. Hours passed. Frozen sat by the broken door, her small frame tense and alert. The building settled into its nighttime sounds, distant televisions, running water, the occasional argument from the floor below. She was starting to doze off when she heard footsteps in the hallway, heavy, measured footsteps. It was midnight. Frozen's eyes snapped open. A tall silhouette appeared in the doorway, backlit by the hallway's flickering fluorescent light. For a moment, fear gripped her, but then she recognized the outline. It was Finch. He stood there, a toolbox in one hand, wearing a simple gray t-shirt and worn jeans. His face was weathered, with lines etched deep around his eyes and mouth. A long scar ran from his left eyebrow to his cheek. But his eyes were gentle. I heard you, he said simply, his voice rough from disuse. Earlier, I couldn't answer, but I heard you. Frozen stared at him, her scales shimmering in the dim light. You came, she whispered. A broken door is a serious thing, Finch replied, kneeling down to examine the damage. Mind if I take a look? The little dragon girl nodded, stepping aside. She watched as Finch's scarred hands moved with surprising precision, testing the hinges, examining the lock, measuring the frame. There was something almost meditative about the way he worked, as if fixing things helped him forget whatever demons haunted his dreams. The whole mechanism needs replacing, he muttered, more to himself than to her. But I can make it work for tonight. Make it secure for the next hour. Frozen watched in fascination as Finch worked. He didn't speak much, but he didn't need to. His actions spoke volumes. He reinforced the hinges with spare parts from his toolbox. He jimmied the lock into a temporary but functional position. He even oiled the squeaky spots so the door would close smoothly. Where's your grandmother? He asked at one point. At the night market. She should be home soon, Frozen replied, then added softly, thank you for helping us. Finch paused in his work. Something flickered across his face, surprise, maybe, or something deeper. It's just a door, he said gruffly. No, Frozen said with the wisdom of someone far older than her years. It's more than that. You came when I asked. Most people wouldn't. The veteran was quiet for a long moment. Then he returned to his work with renewed focus. When he finally finished, the door closed properly, locked securely. Finch stood up, gathering his tools. I'll get the proper parts tomorrow. This is just temporary. You'll come back? Frozen asked, hope lighting up her face. Finch looked down at the little dragon girl with her silver scales and hopeful eyes. For the first time in months, maybe years, a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Yeah, he said. I'll come back. As he turned to leave, Frozen's grandmother appeared at the end of the hallway, her arms full of market bags. She stopped, taking in the scene, her granddaughter, the fixed door, and the veteran neighbor who everyone feared. "Thank you," she said simply, bowing her head in respect. Finch nodded once, then disappeared into his apartment. But something had changed at midnight. A door had been fixed, not just a physical one, but something deeper. In asking for help, Frozen had given Finch something he'd lost in the war: a purpose, a connection, a reason to emerge from the darkness of apartment 3C the next morning. The neighbors noticed Finch's curtains were open for the first time in years, letting the sunlight stream into his apartment, and every Tuesday after that, Frozen would knock on his door, not because something was broken, but because she'd learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is reach out to someone who seems unreachable. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, broken doors lead to the most unexpected friendships.